Democrats. Today is Thursday, November 10th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Thursday. So we are 2 days beyond the last election, and I'm not done thanking people. So every day I wake up and I think that, having gratitude is healthy. So I want to thank all of the small donors. I had conversations with people all over the state who would say to me, I don't have a lot of money. I can't do a $500 check or a $250 check. And my answer was, if you can write a candidate a $20 check or sign up for $20 a month is enough. And that's what candidates did. That's what donors did. We had Democratic candidates had more individual small donors than Republicans did. And what that means is that they had more everyday Oklahomans who believed in what they were thinking about, rather than big donors who were trying to buy influence. Now, don't get me wrong. Would our candidates have appreciated larger checks if they could have gotten them? Absolutely. But the fact that individual donors gave $10 and $20 and $30 at a time to our candidates, I can tell you from the candidates that I've talked to, and somebody who raises money for a living, we appreciate those. We appreciate those checks. We appreciate those donations. And I should probably say this more, but I wanted to take this opportunity to make sure that if you gave to a candidate and you gave them $20 because you were at a fundraiser and that was all the money that you could spare that month, I promise you that the candidates appreciated that. And so I wanted to take some time today to say it out loud, to say it to you, and hopefully I can reach some of the people who are happy that their candidate won and are a little bit disappointed that another candidate didn't win, or another group of candidates, or whoever it is that you gave money to. It all helps. I saw more Democratic political billboards throughout the state than I ever have in my lifetime. And in my lifetime, there was a time when Dems were in charge. I saw more political literature, more signs. I saw more candidates hungry for it than I've seen in a long time. And I think that money, I think that those smaller donations made them work harder, made them more grateful for what they're doing, made them know that what they were doing was not in vain. And I am slowly but surely getting through and calling candidates who will take my call and just kind of doing a debrief. What could we have done? What went well? And those kinds of things. And overwhelmingly, candidates have expressed their gratitude for the folks who put out signs and wrote postcards and made phone banking and donated what they could to the campaigns. It meant a lot. And so for those of you who are still trying to process the election, take your time. Take your time. I'm just going to give you a little time because it's almost time to start really working. Take your time, but know that the candidates, the party, we all appreciate it. And it was not in vain. So thank you for that. But I also want to tell you something else. We worked hard. We all got our hopes up, and we were hoping for a Governor Hoffmeister. It didn't happen this time. It didn't happen this time, and we're stuck with the guy we had. But what I want to say to you is, because of Joy's campaign and all of your hard work and all of your support and all of your hope, the Republican Governors Association had to come in Oklahoma, spend some time analyzing what was happening on the ground and spending money in Oklahoma. They don't spend money in Oklahoma because they just count Oklahoma out. It's not just the DNC who's not putting money in Oklahoma. It's also the RNC. But because Joy looked so promising, the Republican Governors Association came into Oklahoma to help Governor Stitt. They were afraid. They spent some money. And because they had to take their eye off of their battleground states, they had to take their eye off of their focus, we being the Democrats, were able to get a Democratic governor in Arizona, a Democratic governor in Oregon, because they had to distribute their focus and look over here at Oklahoma. Guys, that's a win. It may not feel like a win right now, but when the Republican National Party, be it the RGA, the Republican Senate group, the Republican congressional group, when the Republican National Party has to look at Oklahoma because they're concerned that they might lose one of their seats in Oklahoma, that says that we're making ground, that we are gaining ground. And that's a big deal. And for that, be proud and be hopeful. It's not over. And if we can get them looking over here because they think that Oklahoma is a threat, that is helpful. That is helpful for the next election cycle. And the next election cycle is a big one, right? The next election cycle is the presidential election. And if we can get the RNC to look over here at Oklahoma, I assure you that means that the DNC is looking at Oklahoma. And so for that, I want to say, all hope is not lost. There are little gains that we can find in everything that we were doing. There are little gains. And the fact that the RNC is concerned that they're going to lose their grip on Oklahoma is a big gain. The fact that we gained a seat in the state house is a big gain. The fact that we have a new DA in Oklahoma City is a big gain. And so we need to take those gains and be glad for those gains. Now, I started talking about the small donors and the gratefulness of our candidates, and I'm telling you that they are. But there are some candidates who, in their quest to get over the finish line, are now carrying a little bit of debt, and they eventually have to pay that debt off. So if you supported a candidate, whether they want or not, I'm going to ask you to reach out to their campaign and see if they need some help covering their debt, because they might. And it sounds crazy, but if you cover their debt and they're not carrying this debt, trying to figure out how they're going to pay for it, we have a better chance of them running again. Seems silly, but it's a big deal and it's real. So none of our candidates rake up the kinds of debts that happen on the other side. None of our candidates rake up thousands and tens of thousands of debt. Another $25 check might help. And so I'm asking you, for the candidate that you supported, reach out to their party and donate a little bit. All righty, so those are my big ones. Thank you to the small donors and the large donors. Thank you. It was helpful. And don't lose hope. We gained a seat in the state house. Oklahoma Democrats have not gained a seat in the state house in over a decade. That's a big deal. They went into last session with 18 Democrats on the floor. They're going into the next session with 20. It's a big deal. Don't be fooled and don't be lulled and don't be depressed. It is a big deal. And because of that, and because of how hard Joy and Kendra and Gina and Marigi and Jack and Charles, I think that's everybody on the state level. So because of how hard they ran, and Madison and Adam and Naomi and Jeremiah and Mary Brennan and Joshua, the RNC was afraid that they might lose Oklahoma. That's a big deal, and that makes me smile. All righty, I won't be back here tomorrow at 4:15. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. And as the daughter and sister of veterans, I'm going to take the time and acknowledge my family and respect my family. I'm going to take the time off. And I encourage you to as well. It is a holiday. And we'll be back on Monday getting ready for 2024, because that's what we have to do. I'm picking up on some lessons learned, and I'll be sharing those lessons so that we can get ourselves ready and we can be in a much better organized, financed position for 2024. You guys have a great long weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.